Senator Sanders.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator Simpson and Mr. Bowles, for being with us. 5 minutes is not a whole lot of time, so I just want to make a few points and then maybe ask a few questions. I think one of the problems that we have when we just focus on deficit reduction, as significant an issue as it is, we lose the broad context of what's happening in this country, which is not just deficit reduction. The other reality that's happening in this country is that for many years the middle class has been collapsing. Poverty has been increasing. We now have by far the most unequal distribution of wealth and income of any major country. So while the middle class shrinks and poverty increases, the wealthiest people for many years have become much wealthier. So that you now have a situation, if you can believe it, where the top 400 families in America own more wealth than half of the families in America, where you have the top 1% earning more income than the bottom 50%. So when you talk about moving toward deficit reduction, which we all appreciate is an important issue, the question is, well, on whom should that burden fall? Should we really, as our Republican friends have recently suggested, throw 200,000 children off of Head Start? Should we cut back on the Social Security Administration? Should we cut back on Pell Grants with middle-class families finding it harder and harder to be able to afford college? How do you deal with that? So, to my mind, the first question that I would ask, and I'm going to have to request very brief answers because I want to get to Social Security, I want to get to health care as well. At a time when we have such a grotesquely unequal distribution of income and wealth, where over a recent 25-year period, 80% of all income in this country went to the top 1%, why in your proposal did you suggest that 3/4 of the movement toward deficit reduction come from spending cuts, only 25% from revenue? Why didn't you ask the wealthiest people in this country to start paying, and I know you did some of it, but in a much more significant way, their fair share of taxes?
First of all, I think we have a significant spending problem in this country. Secondly, I think we did exactly what you said. In every single case, we tried to protect for truly disadvantaged. If you look at all of our cuts in the other mandatory category, which is about 20% of the other mandatory category, we didn't touch a single one of those.
Okay. I would respectfully disagree with that.
It is a fact we didn't touch food stamps, we didn't touch unemployment, we didn't touch SSI, we left them all like that. Okay. If you look at
But answer my question. Answer my question. If you are earning...
I am answering your question, I will continue to.
But we don't have a lot of time. Well, top 400 people in this
We'll take some more time.
That's because the tax expenditures actually go to those people. Those are the people who benefit from this. The top 400 people pay an average tax of about 16%.
That's correct.
Why do they do that? Because they have all these tax expenditures. We got rid of the tax expenditures. That's why the rate of increase in taxes for the top 1% or the top 1/10 of 1% is about 155 times what it is for somebody at the bottom.
Yeah, but
that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, but Mr. Chairman, at the end of the day, in your movement toward deficit reduction, 3/4 of your plan talks about cutting spending. And I just ticked off. How do you feel about throwing 200,000 kids off of Head Start? That's a cut in spending. Good idea?
I don't think we recommended that, sir, so I don't...
I know, but this is the result. When you talk about cuts in spending, Pell Grants and so on. All right, let me go on. We don't have a whole lot of time, and I apologize.
What about your president offering to cut LIHEAP
Terrible
by 50%? I didn't do that.
And it was a terrible idea, no question about it. But let me go to Social Security. Social Security, to my mind, has been an enormously successful program for the last 75 years, taken a whole lot of elderly people out of poverty, people with disabilities, widows and orphans, paid out every nickel owed to every eligible American. Now, I found it interesting. You just made a point, which I think is right, Mr. Bowles. You said when we dealt with Social Security, we didn't do it from a deficit reduction perspective. We did it to try to strengthen Social Security. President Obama, during his campaign, also had an idea. His idea was to raise the taxable income level at $250,000. Remember that? People earning more than $250,000, that cap would be removed. I thought that was a pretty sensible idea. What do you think about it?
I'm on the record. I have said many times that I didn't think that people in my income bracket needed a tax cut.
I was part of a group of Dave Pryor and Jack Danforth that met years ago with Paul Simon and agreed to take that lid completely off. That's me.
Is that your view today?
You can do anything you want, I'm not.
No, I'm not what I can do, but is that your, do you recommend to the Congress?
I
that we-
don't know. You're the guy.
Well, I
who-
believe, I agree with President Obama, that at $250,000 or more, that cap be removed. Do you agree with that proposal from the President? Any comments? You guys just did a long report.
I've already said, I didn't believe that the top 2% of taxpayers needed a tax cut.
I asked a fairly simple question. I guess,
gave you- and I
do you
answered
agree
your
with
question.
President Obama that above $250,000, we should remove the cap? Yes, no?
Should remove what cap? Excuse me.
Cap on taxable income for Social Securities.
Well, actually, the cap.
Right
on
now, it's at
Social Security,
106,000.
106,800. We actually did raise that.
I know you did. I know you did.
180.
But President went a lot further than you did. He
No, I
said,
believe what we recommended, we took it to 90%,
Right.
which is what it originally was.
But you're not answering.
Which means when in 2020, instead of going to 168,000, it goes to 190.
President said,
So you'll pay taxes on an additional 22%.
but the President said that we should start very shortly by removing the cap for people over 250. I'm not hearing your opinion on that.
No, I'm happy to give you my opinion. My opinion is what we recommended.
Okay, so you don't agree with the President?
I don't. I agree-
Okay, that's
I agree
fine,
with what
that's
we
fine.
said.
In terms of health care,
I don't think you would ever agree with us either, so it doesn't make much difference.
in terms of health care, at the end of the day, the United States spends almost twice as much per capita on health care as any other nation. We are the only nation in the industrialized world that allows private insurance companies to play a significant role in health care. Other countries have national health care programs without private insurance companies. Would you suggest that one way to lower the cost of health care is to eliminate?
Senator, in fairness to colleagues, you've now gone over.
You're right.
Well over. So I think we got to end it there. In fairness to colleagues.
All right.
When there's a flow of a conversation, I've permitted both sides to go up to a minute over, but now we're 2 minutes. So I honestly, I don't think it's fair. Let me go to a point